two accepted views related to this climate change. 1. The UNFCCC says that a change of climate which is attributed directly or indirectly to human activity alters the composition of the global atmosphere, observed over comparable time periods. 2. The IPCC, statistically significant variations in either the mean state of climate or in its variability persisting for an extended period, typically decades or longer. Climate change may be due to natural internal processes or external forces, or to persistent anthropogenic change in the composition of the atmosphere or its land use. Total anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions have continued to increase starting from 1970 to 2010, with larger absolute decadal increases towards the end of this period. About half the cumulative anthropogenic CO2 emissions between 1750 and 2010 have occurred in the last 40 years. Globally, economic and population growth continue to be the most important drivers of increases in CO2 emissions from fossil fuel combustion. Climate change is set to drastically affect the world, including Thailand, leading to prolonged droughts, decreased agriculture and fishery yields, violent flooding, sea level rise, and health-related issues. The health effects of climate change in Thailand may include 7 issues. These are temperature-related morbidity and mortality, weather events, air pollution, water and foodborne diseases, vector and rodent-borne diseases, food productivity and malnutrition, and finally, heat-related occupational diseases. Temperature-related morbidity and mortality. The temperatures in Thailand rose by approximately 1 degree Celsius from 1981 to 2007. As stated by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, the upward drift is very likely due to the increase in greenhouse gas concentrations caused by anthropogenic human-based activity. According to models developed locally, the mean daily maximum temperature in Thailand will increase by 1.2 to 1.9 degrees Celsius by 2050. Furthermore, the number of rainy days and the level of precipitation in Thailand has decreased over the last 50 years. Weather events. The World Meteorological Organization predicts that typical cyclones will become less frequent but more intense over the coming decades. Currently, there are an estimated 2 million migrants in Thailand, with 80 to 90% originating from Myanmar. That leaves Thailand with a high risk of transitional and local crime, as well as illegal drugs, HIV, and drug trafficking, but also affect the Thai labor market and the healthcare and education systems. Air pollution. More people, especially those in Bangkok, will suffer from health issues related to air pollution. While some air pollutants demonstrate weather-related seasonal cycles, the overall concentration of air pollutants will likely grow stronger because pollutants formation depends partially on the temperature and the humidity, both of which are predicted to rise. According to the Pollution Control Department, air pollution in Bangkok has already reached critical levels, with concentrations of benzene over 3 times the acceptable standards in some areas. Water and foodborne diseases. As Thailand receives less rain, its cities will face the dual challenge of acquiring sufficient freshwater supplies and distributing these supplies evenly. In 2008, nearly 190,000 Thais had to be treated for water-related illnesses and injuries. Vector and rodent-borne diseases. Rising temperatures and a greater amount of stagnant water could increase the number of dengue cases. There is evidence of adaptation of some mosquito species to fragmented forest environments in Thailand, while Anopheles dirus larvae are now unreported in the rock pools of some bamboo forests and caves. A larger geographical scale may provide more insight into the adaptive selection of these alternative habitats by mosquito vectors. Food productivity and malnutrition. Thailand is one of the world's largest rice exporters and food producers, with over 40% of the population relying on agriculture for their livelihoods. Nevertheless, pockets of malnutrition still exist, particularly in the northeast of the country. Climate change effects such as drought and flooding seriously threaten their economic vector and overall food security of the country. Changes in rainfall will aggravate problems related to water resource management for farmers, who consume 70% of the country's water supply. While overall precipitation is declining, studies have predicted more intense bursts of precipitation and El Niño and La Niña events, which have been occurring every 4 to 10 years in Thailand. Both trends will lead to more tropical storms and amplify the risk of flooding. Thailand recently experienced widespread floods in October 2010, which killed 56 people and affected almost 3 million. The rice production loss from the flooding was estimated at 0.7 million tons. Heat-related occupational diseases. The temperature continues to rise. Increases in heat stress will lead to greater incidences of heat cramps, exhaustion, and sunstroke, especially in industrial and agricultural sites. A recent study surveyed 5 industrial and agricultural sites and found that 80% had heat indexes in the extreme caution zone and 20% in the danger zone, resulting in a drop in productivity. Climate change also has an effect on occupational health and productivity, with the temperature highest of 34.6 degrees centigrade from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. at the agricultural sites. It experienced heat indicators of extreme caution, where heat cramps and exhaustion may be possible, and one site showed a value of 41 degrees Celsius that falls into the category of danger, where sunstroke and heat exhaustion are likely and prolonged exposure may lead to heat stroke. Productivity as perceived by the workers revealed that in particular the construction and pottery industry workers had a loss of productivity ranging from 10 to 60%. Thailand has been impacted from the climate change, but one big problem is that Thais do not have the awareness or the plans to sustainable living. Many articles present the fact that Thais lack awareness and the willingness to change their lifestyle to make it more sustainable. Supporting awareness and plans to leading to a sustainable life is important, but supporting sustainable healthcare is equally important. Sustainable healthcare is expected to be predominantly preventative, with a greater emphasis on disease prevention, health promotion, and supporting patients and their families to take an active role in their own healthcare. Healthcare workers are currently poorly prepared to understand the connections between climate change, sustainability, and health.